Welcome to AHA video 4, or have I lost count? This week we were reading about cyberbullying and really issues of how much information one lets out, to whom and where. And to be honest, I didn't really have any kind of aha moment with this because I've been on the net for 20 some odd years, and that makes me feel very, very old. And I've seen a lot of this happen. Sadly, I can say I've seen catfishing in real life happen. I've seen people pretend to be others and create elaborate, deceitful second lives almost. And the fallout has been nasty. And that's among adults. 2 adults. So when it comes to children, I can only imagine that it's truly traumatizing for a young teen to find out that the person on the other end has been lying to him the whole time. I would not be surprised that they have trust issues after that. Who wouldn't? I've seen cyberbullying many, many moons ago when I was in graduate school for my doctorate. I was on AOL, and to help pay for my AOL bill, I would host a chat room. And part of my job there was to prevent, or to help prevent, cyberbullying. But it was often adults on children. For the stupidest things. Kids would come in and ask for homework help, and the adults would attack. You can't get adults to not cyberbully children. How are we going to get children to not cyberbully children? And I don't have an answer. I don't know that there is an answer. We have never been able to stop physical bullying, let alone this cyberbullying, which is insidious. And with the rise of the smartphone, constant. You can constantly ping someone's phone from various apps, message apps. You don't have to just use their text service. And some of those message apps can be untraceable. How do you stop that? I don't know. You can teach children what to do when approached by a bully. You can teach them to turn to the authority figures and tell them what's going on. But sadly, they see in physical situations that doesn't work. And who's an authority figure on the internet? You can tell your parents. Sure. What can your parent really do? They can get you offline. And that's a very helpful thing for a child or a young adult, but doesn't necessarily solve the problem. And once something hits the internet, it's impossible to totally scrub that thing from the internet. Snapchat purports to hold your picture for 10 seconds, 4 seconds. And yet if you screenshot it, it's saved forever and shared, to the detriment of many. I don't know that there's an answer. I don't know that it's easy. I know it's not easy, actually. Watching the Net Smarts videos, and I watched several. Once I could get the site to load on my work computer. Our system is not fond of videos. And they were disturbing in many ways. The first one I watched was the young girl who gave out information and ended up being blackmailed into more and more. As insecure as teens are, how would you stop that? And as easy as it is, and it is sadly very easy to set up a fake profile, how do you stop it? We talk a lot about you need to know who you're talking to on the other end, but you can only do so much to verify that. You can only go by the information you are told. And as young adults, they don't have the critical skills to think some of this through. So, studies have shown before that decision making and impulse control are late developing things, and they may not fully develop until the early 20s. How do you stop it? I don't know. I watched the one about the young girls fighting over the boyfriend. And online, it's exacerbated, but that one was not surprising. That happens in the physical world as well. But it doesn't remind us that the two worlds do intersect. Often people do know who their cyberbully is, or think they do, but don't have evidence. That's where the one that was the 6 degrees of information was interesting. Having run a Google search on myself many times before, because I'd been advised to do so by some security people who said, run a Google search, you should see what's out there on yourself. There's a lot, and I don't necessarily mean to, but there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that's drawn from public records. There's a lot of stuff from professional conferences that post your name on a table of contents or on a program that they put online. If you're published, you show up in databases, which can be pulled up. If you start up a Pinterest page, it can be linked to your Facebook page, which can be linked to your Twitter page, which can be... It's not hard to find stuff. I searched myself after watching that just for the heck of it, and it was like, wow. And you can also find the misinformation, but it's huge, the amount of information we as adults post. If we're posting it, of course kids are going to post it. They see their parents. I mean, that was, I think, if there was an aha moment for me this week, it was during that video when he was like, and your mother says she's not buying you the stiletto heels because you don't need them. And you got to see the daughter realize the mother had a blog about her. But the mother would be just as appalled to realize how quickly you could get from one page to the other. It doesn't take long. And none of us are really, really aware of that. So how do we teach children? I don't know. It's the same issue with cyberbullying. Obviously, because I work in higher ed, I'm much more interested in that end of it. And these kids are reaching college. Actually, some of them are reaching the workplace. And cyberbullying happens in both of those places. And what do? It's a different ball game. If you've been teaching your kids, or if kids have been taught in K-12 to take it to an authority, to take it to a parent, to take it to someone on campus, to work through that system, to take it. There's nothing in higher ed when it comes to this topic. There are no programs put in place. Nothing. Who's the authority? Sorry, had to let one of the 4-footed children out. There's nothing in place. There are no policies in colleges or many universities to deal with real physical assaults, let alone cyber assaults and cyberbullying. Who is a young adult to turn to in the situation where they're cyberbullied on college? An instructor's not going to know what to do. I speak from experience. I have no clue. My department chair, my vice chancellor, they wouldn't quite know what to do. There's not a lot of legal laws on cyberbullying for adults, which is also true in the workplace. There's not a lot of procedure. If you're being bullied by someone you can verify is a coworker, you can go to your supervisor, you can go to human resources. You got to verify it. That's a different thing. Most of us, when we get to our workplaces, aren't quite that blatant, but it does happen. So what to do about cyberbullying is something I don't know. I don't know how to solve that. I mean, my students know it's there. They're very aware of it. They know what cyberbullying is. They know what catfishing is. They know not, or they have certainly been told not to give their information out. It does not stop them. They know this, but they still make poor decisions. That's part of growing up. It's just that now those bad decisions Sorry, more barking. Um, Even legally, there's not enough out there to protect people. Sure, there are stalking laws, but that gets hard to prove. And a lot of online stuff is still not taken very seriously in our culture, which is disturbing. So we have to start, I guess, by asking the questions and transferring and helping these kids learn how to deal with these things that they're going to face as adults. We have all been online, and in this last political season, I'm sure we've all seen adults cyberbully one another. If we don't model the right behavior, nor the children won't, the kids won't. So it starts with the parents, it starts with the society, it starts with the community, it starts with the adults. Only when we get over that sort of behavior will, I guess, children get over it. But again, it's not an easy thing. If bullying could be solved in the 21st century, we'd have solved it. People are people. So the consequences are what kids need to see. And those consequences can be severe, and we worry about that. Certainly parents worry about that for their kids. And I don't have answers there. So what we've seen is no solutions. You can't be sure 100% of who you're talking to, so you need to be cautious. You need to pay attention to what you put out online, because there's a lot of stuff out there you don't even know is out there. You've got to be aware. You've got to check what you're posting. If you're a parent, you have to have the discussions with your children. Monitor them to some extent. Check. I mean, I know parents that stalk their children's Facebook pages, who join Snapchat just so their kids will be able to be seen and watched, and who try to keep up with every new social media that pops up and disappears and pops up and disappears. Because the consequences can be life-altering. As we watched in that video long ago, the front line about growing up online. This stuff can be tragic. In the articles I was reading about higher ed, one of the stories mentioned was the young violinist up at Rutgers, whose roommate videotaped him in private moments and posted them on the internet. How do you prevent that? You can't protect yourself all the time, is the sad thing. I don't have answers. I don't know that anyone has answers. But we try, and as parents, parents must keep trying. As educators, we keep trying. As employers, people keep trying, and that's all we can do is to try. Not a happy and inspirational aha moment this week, but it's true. These have been problems inherent in the internet since the beginning. They're not going away soon. And the only thing you can do is be cautious and protect yourself. Not optimistic. Oh well. Have a good week. See you next week for aha video 5.